Little justice, little justice, little justice.
All right, and we're back. Welcome. We're on Little Justice. We have Brandon Routh here. We're talking about now movies, because this is a movie podcast, and we do.
This is a movie podcast?
It is, in fact. Sometimes we do talk.
okay.
You know, when Alex is not pursuing my wife, we do talk about films, and that is what we're going to talk.
I mean, we've been texting during this.
Please
too.
stop.
Like I don't take a break from pursuit.
Please stop.
You know,
texting
for this,
my
but...
wife. It's goddamn awful. But no. So with Brandon, with you being kind of the pride of Des Moines, pride of Iowa, and pride of the Midwest, we thought that this would be a great time to delve into what can only be called the Midwestern movie. You know, and look at movies that mean something to us from the Midwest. So I guess Alex, my first question to you is what is the Midwestern movie? Like, is it, because there's
I had to find out, because in my head you said Midwest, and honestly I never really thought about what is the Midwest. I thought it went like literally from like Iowa all the way to Nevada. Like anything that's not the East or West Coast, I just say is the Midwest.
Yeah, inaccurate.
Very, very inaccurate. And then so many people will not like me for not knowing that.
Just because if you don't live in the Midwest, you don't have Midwest pride. So, you know,
right.
It's understandable. Those flyover states.
Which is also a thing I didn't know about. My sister-in-law is from Minnesota, so she's Midwest. But I thought that wasn't even Midwest. Like, that's too far north to be Midwest.
Where is it? Is it Narnia for you? Like, what? Like, that's exactly what it is.
I don't know. I just live in my little bubble, and I don't.
That's the problem with 2020. Okay.
All right. So Midwest is North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio.
There we go. Got it.
All of it. And Iowa's right. I mean, you're like as Midwest gets. You're in the middle of Midwest.
Yeah, we're the brains, we're the head. You know,
there it is.
You look at the on the map.
So this is a thing then, like Midwest pride. Like what? So Brandon, maybe you could tell us, because you have more experience. What defines a Midwest person or environment, or you know, what are the things that go into that?
Yeah, I mean, the Midwest people are generally kind to your face, fairly honest. You know, we have a lot of different weather, so we get all the seasons.
Yep.
And we think we're a fairly hardy group of people, having deal with harsh, warm summers and thunderstorms and tornadoes, and then freezing winters and blizzards every once in a while. We like the outdoors, sports, a lot of church-going folk, and Midwestern food, which is not the healthiest, and farming, obviously. State fairs are a big thing in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
And pride, because we very proud of our home state or our home college team, because we don't often, like in Iowa, don't have a professional sports team. So people are Iowa Hawkeye fans or Iowa State fans or Northwestern fans.
So is there like rivalry between the neighboring states?
I mean, yeah, between Iowa and Nebraska is one of the biggest ones. Iowans are usually fine with Minnesota and Illinois and Missouri, but it's mostly Nebraska that we have a problem with, and I'm not sure why. It's probably because Iowa State and Nebraska play football a lot. Is one reason. Who knows? Maybe it's the farming aspect. But other than that, we have a problem with Ohio.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
because of the Ohio State. But that's probably most Big Ten school in areas. I mean, their dominance in college sports.
Well, I gotta go back, and I gotta call out Des Moines, because when I was on this tour again, was doing a roundup of the best food, some of the best. Whether I did a lot of pizza, did a lot of just like wanted to get a thing, and I wrote it down in my journal, and I was looking it up last night. Zombie Burger.
Oh yeah,
I gotta shout it out, because god dang, that burger is so good.
That's a weird name for a burger. Zombie burger?
Dude, you don't even know.
What's it made out of?
It's people, Alex. They're serving people. No, it's a burger. It's whatever you want. You can get a bunch of different burgers from Zombie Burger. We should. I mean, honestly, like true, like because it was like I think like maybe a 10-minute walk from the theater, and we would go there after shows, and I just get a milkshake and a turkey burger, double turkey burger with cheese, fries to go, and that was very satiating. Yeah, so, I mean, y'all have some good food out there for sure.
So Brandon, you're like a down home Midwestern boy. Do you think that played into the Superman thing at all?
Oh yeah,
the fact that that's Clark Kent
I think
too?
that's a lot of who I am. That aspect of small town, the naivete again, for me,
right?
The kindness that Clark has in the small town, and your neighbors, and you're kind to your elders and neighbors, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no,
cool.
I love it. The Midwestern movie. So we're talking about, like you said, hardy people. We're talking about lots of weather. Definitely talking about sports. And there's a lot of. I mean, I think one of the reasons I like this genre is because this is actually, Alex, I think this is a genre that we might want to come back to at some point, just because there's so many movies in this genre.
There's so many, and it's does the movie explore the actual like what it means? There are movies that are about that environment and those communities. There are movies. My selection just happens to take place like it amplifies the story that it is set where it is, but there's nothing about that where it's set that like influences the story.
Yeah.
It can be anything.
Truly be anything. But I mean, we'll see how yours, I'm sure your choice falls short, Alex, but we'll see how it does.
Absolutely it does, but I really enjoyed watching it.
And that's great. And that's all that, did you have fun at the end of the day? That's all that matters. So why don't we, because Brandon, you are our illustrious guest, we will start, and we will start it off. Alex, do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I can go first. I don't think mine's going to take very long. For those of you who have not listened before, how we do this is we've each selected our version of what we think, what's our favorite Midwest movie. It doesn't necessarily mean the best, but what's the one that we think most resonates with us when we think of what this genre is that we've selected. So we're going to cue it up, basically just introduce the movie until one of you guys can guess it. Once you got it, call it out, and then we'll talk about it. So my movie, you'll probably get this really, really quickly because it name drops. It starts in New York City. It's kind of a cramped, 1-2 bedroom apartment, books, on the shelves, books on the floor, a guy sitting on his couch, writing on his laptop, gets a phone call. He picks it up. The guy on the other end tells him,
"Hi, listen. According to an unconfirmed report, David Wallace is dead."
What? No.
Cut to a flashback. This man is younger. He has read about a new author, David Foster Wallace.
Good for you.
Who's come on the scene with his book, and he gets the idea. He's working for Rolling Stone, and he gets the idea to go visit him. He wants to accompany David Foster Wallace at the end of the tour.
Listen, before we start putting stuff on tape, I need to ask you something. I need to know that anything that I say 5 minutes later not to put in, that you're not going to put in.
Absolutely.
Just given my level of fatigue and my fuck-up quotient lately, it's the only way I can see doing it, not going crazy.
Nope, I completely understand.
Just right back on, huh?
You agreed to the interview.
This is a very recent film.
This is a recent film. Brandon, have you seen it? The end of the tour?
I'm not with you yet on what the movie is.
Okay. It's the end of the tour.
That's what it's called?
Is the name of the movie.
Oh, I don't know this movie.
Oh, it's good. It's all good.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It could be that I am a father and don't watch a lot of movies, but it also could be that I just don't.
It could be that you have better things to do with your time.
That's what we love to do too on this podcast, is introduce people to things that they might not otherwise get to see. This one, it came out in 2015. It stars Jason Segel and Jesse Eisenberg. And it's based on a book that was a nonfiction book based on the same scenario. A guy working for Rolling Stone basically recorded 3 days of traveling with David Foster Wallace, the author of Infinite Jest.
Okay.
Who later committed suicide. So, he's like a big cult icon kind of author. If you've never read him, Infinite Jest is like 1,000+ pages long. It's big and it's dense. So he's kind of a become an icon in the literary world. And what I love about this movie, so the movie just follows. He's making the last stop on his book tour for Infinite Jest, and it just follows their conversations from he shows up at his house, and it all takes place in Bloomington, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
They go into Minneapolis, St. Paul, but it's very, very, there's nothing going on except them talking to each other. And the interviewer, whose name is also David, is an aspiring fiction author himself, and has sort of put Dave Wallace up on this pedestal of he's like what he wants to become, right? Applauded in all the things, getting interviewed, the darling of the literary world. And Dave Wallace, on the other hand, has hit this point where he's, it's what he's been aiming for, but now that he's here, he realizes it's not quite meshing with all of his anxieties and all of his things, and he's really not sure how to handle it. So you kind of put these two really anxious people who don't know what they want or how to handle where they're at together, and watch them play off of each other in interview format, basically. Just asking each other questions and finding out about each other's lives.
How do you learn to do this stuff?
Do what?
The interviewing. Does one go to interviewing school?
Yes, I went to 8 years of interviewing school.
So you got a master's?
I did. No, I'm a writer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, I write fiction as well. I just had a novel published, actually.
Great. Mm-hmm. You're like a nervous guy, huh?
No, I'm okay. How are you?
Because I'm terrified.
Are you?
Yes, you're not alone in this.
Okay.
It debuted at the Sundance Film Festival. It got really well reviewed. The two performances, Jason Segel plays David Foster Wallace. It's just it's an unbelievable performance, and it all takes place. It really is like Dave. You picture in your head someone who's very successful, who's just sold 1 million copies of a book and is this big deal, and he lives in this little ranch, in the snow outside Illinois. And the whole movie goes through, how these rural towns have, it's all just McDonald's and traffic lights and factories. And it's kind of it's like almost beautifully drab.
Mm-hmm.
And the film moves these characters through these diners and all these spaces and gives you a sense, everything is very, very normal, which plays into the film a lot because it's two people who have elevated their craft into a magical realm, trying to reckon with the fact that reality is very different.
I don't mind appearing in Rolling Stone. I don't want to appear in Rolling Stone as somebody who wants to be in Rolling Stone. To have written a book about how seductive images, how easy it is to get seduced off of any meaningful path because of the way our culture is now. What if I become a parody of that very thing? Tomorrow you drive away and you get on a plane and this whole thing is over. I go back to knowing 20 people. I'm gonna have to decompress from all this attention because it's like getting heroin injected into your cortex. And where I'm gonna need real balls is to sit and go through that and try to remind myself of what the reality is, that I'm 34 years old and I'm alone in a room with a piece of paper.
So it's watching them, bring their elevated senses through just, boring Illinois. So yeah, the end of the tour, if you haven't seen it, please see it.
Let me ask you this. So just out of curiosity, so how does, you say boring Illinois, which by the way, I don't believe Illinois is boring.
Well, not boring, but normal, just normal American, because I guess, and it's my own personal experience too, of you, and we talked about it with Pete Chapman on a previous podcast where you elevate something that you love, that you want to do. The people who are very successful at it, the people who have done it, you think that they exist on this other plane.
Yeah.
Right. You think that they think differently, they act differently, they have different relationships and different worries, not that they're immortal or that they don't have problems, but that there are things that they're doing that you could never understand. And so, and including where you live, you picture movie stars, you think they all live in giant mansions and famous authors and musicians and all these things. And so to see the Midwest, it's as normal American as you can get. He teaches at the community college down the street. and they stop at McDonald's to eat, and then they stop at a 24-hour diner to eat, and then they're riding economy. They fly economy to the book tour at this small little bookshop, and they're in a little Honda Civic rental car. They have a driver who drives them around, but she's this kind of weird person in her little Volvo. Like, it's completely unluxurious. And both of them, I think, are reckoning with that fact. And it's soothing in a way. It's not a criticism of anything. It's like identifying the humanity in it all. Like it's like lessons on how to change your perspective so that you're not putting the wrong things up.
It almost reminds me, just listening to you describe that, because I in my search for infinite wisdom and jest, I started reading the Tao Te Ching recently, which I've never read by Lao Tzu. It's this Chinese philosophy, 81 chapters, and so much of it is about perception versus reality, and the idea of just letting go of things. And it's similar to what we were talking before, the idea of we all strive for these ideas of success, and that if we can just let go of desire and just be content. In fact, chapter 44, which I had to write down because it really just hit me so well, is just be content with what you have, rejoice in the way things are. When you realize that nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. And it's just like, and that's what I'm hearing. Just the idea of when if you can find that contentment in, then you're free, and what a beautiful concept. I love that. It is.
And the film, it's powerful. I've seen it. I almost watch it as comfort food. It's a kind of movie, like Doubt we've talked about recently, where I'll pick scenes out that I know that I like just because the performance is so good.
Yep.
I'll just watch it to think about it.
I love that.
To experience it and then just let it wash over me. This movie has so many of those moments. And it's kind of all overshadowed by the fact that Dave Wallace, committed suicide years later. You realize he never came to terms with it. All the stuff he's struggling with, all the stuff, he never actually figured it out. And I think it's kind of a shadow over it, but it makes everything, it adds another level to what's going on. So
part of my reticence about this whole thing is that it won't make very good copy for you. I'm also aware that some addictions are sexier than others. My primary addiction my entire life has been to television. I told you that. Now, television addiction is of far less interest to your readers than something like heroin that confirms the mythos of the writer.
Yeah, a myth I do not believe.
Right,
okay?
No, I know you don't believe that. I'm also aware that one of the things that's swirling around here is you want to have the best fucking article you can have. So, you know what? Why don't you write whatever the fuck you want? I am telling you that this was not a lost weekend sort of thing, nor was it some lurid, romantic, writer's alcoholic sort of thing. What it was a 28-year-old person who had really exhausted a couple other ways to live. Really taken them to their conclusion, which for me was a pink room with a drain in the center of the floor, which is where they put me for an entire day when they thought that I was going to kill myself. And when that happens to you, you become tremendously, just unprecedentedly willing to examine some other alternatives for how to live.
I got to watch that. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Never
Let's
seen
put
it.
it on
You
my
got to
list.
see it. You guys, you got to watch it.
There it is.
The end of the tour.
There it is. What a beautiful film. All right. The end of the tour. All right. So I'll jump in there. I'll throw this one down. This one, I honestly think you both will get this one. Alex, I think you'll be surprised at this one, but let's see what happens. We open on what can only be described as like an idyllic Midwestern morning on like a long road cutting through farmland. This like very 80s synth trumpet music playing, kind of giving you hope, inspiring you to reach higher, be better. White title cards on almost like a blue looking screen. Like it's so early in the morning, it just looks blue. And this car pulls onto the road, driving. There's a man in it driving. He's sipping from a mug. You see, even before the super comes on that tells you that this is 1951, you see that the car is very much from the 50s. Like you can tell that you are in a 50s world. This movie was made in the 80s, so that is no surprise that it's in the 50s. And he is passing through just, I mean, truly like almost like it might as well be like a commercial for farmers. You just see so many farmers doing so many farming things, and you also see he passes a barn where some boys are playing basketball, and that's a little foreshadowing for you. And he pulls up to
Okay.
You get it. You know, come on, guys.
Am I
Pulls up-
guessing?
Oh no, not. I mean, if you
okay.
toss it out. What do you think it is?
Hoosiers?
There you go. Boom. See? And he said he's like, yo, movies. I don't watch them.
Look, mister, these boys got a routine they're used to. You throw a new coach with newfangled ideas at them, might get them all confused. And we'll ease into it real slow. Hell, our first game's less than 2 weeks away.
Well, first of all, let's be real friendly here, okay? My name is Norm. Secondly, your coaching days are over.
This guy's got it. Hoosiers, y'all.
Nailed it. I didn't know it,
Bro.
I never know it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you never know it. He truly has never guessed correctly.
I'm a terrible guesser.
Oh, okay.
I get overwhelmed.
Dude, it's all right. So y'all, so here's the thing. So there was a couple movies that I had in mind when I chose. I was like, okay, obviously I could go to the Coen brothers because that's first of all, they are my heart.
I thought that
And
one.
yep, and I love them. And I was like, dude. And then I was also the other one that I wanted to do but couldn't find was Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh.
With Kirstie Alley and Kirsten Dunst, and it just which is, if you haven't seen Drop Dead Gorgeous, it's hysterical, and it very much takes place in the Midwest, and is a satire of so many things. But Hoosiers, it was just like, okay, I haven't seen this in so long, and I just want to watch it and see how I felt about it. And my biggest thing was like, yo, I remember this. This is the movie you cry about. This is the tearjerker. And I was like, I am not gonna effing cry on this film, y'all. The way Dennis Hopper had me bawling, I was done. I didn't even know. It's because what you realize very quickly watching this movie is the movie has almost nothing to do with basketball. It is like, it's this
as a good sports film should be.
Exactly. I mean, and that's as the best sports. I truly think that as the best sports films are, it really has nothing to do with the sport. You come into this town and, Barbara Hershey is playing this, fellow teacher you find out she has a son who is like the star athlete, but doesn't want to play anymore for some reason. And Gene Hackman is the man who was driving in earlier, and he's the new coach. He last coached in Ithaca, New York, and then he spent 10 years in the Navy, and now he's here. And the town automatically, like, Barbara Hershey's the first person she meets, and she's reading them the riot act. The town does not want anything to do with him. Like, they are very much a town about, this is our town, this is how we play, this is how we operate, and you can't change that. And he automatically, like, the first practice he shows up to, the guy who was coaching before, who he had met the night before, at like kind of like a ad hoc town meeting in the guy's barbershop, is like, trying to be the assistant coach to them, is like, yeah, this is how we do it. We do zone defense, and and Gene Hackman's like, yeah, you're actually you're not going to coach. You gotta get out of here, and toss about. And then, like, the guy brings back the entire town with him to like start like they're gonna like kill Gene Hackman. And it really is about the movie, as so many of these kind of classic. I also think this is an 80s movie thing too, just about change and kind of the. I think especially in the 80s, you look at the heroes of the 80s, John McClane, Indiana Jones. It was very much the era of the American renegade. That's what we loved. We loved these stories about the people who came in and shook things up with the establishment, and that's very much what this movie is. Would turn over in the 90s to Dangerous Minds and Sister Act, but we don't have to get there yet. But it's that same concept, right? Of there's two stories. A hero goes on a journey, and a person comes into town, and that's very much what this story is Gene Hackman coming into town and shaking this town up. And why I say Dennis Hopper is the heart and soul of this movie. Is it truly is like a performance that, like, I was not like when he comes, he is the father of one of the players on the team, and he is a drunk, and he's, the first time you meet him, he's like, going up to the town, to the school principal and like trying to, bum some money off him at a local diner. And his son is like truly embarrassed by him, but he shows a propensity for a knowledge of this game. And Gene Hackman, when his assistant coach gets sick, he's like, let's bring Dennis Hopper and let's bring, I think Shooter is his name. Let's bring Shooter in and have him be the assistant coach, and does things to like, it's truly set him up. It's much more of a rehabilitation where he's like, he purposely gets thrown out of games to set up and have Shooter have to step up. And I got to tell you guys, like, because you're watching, first of all, it's Dennis Hopper. So like already my mind's going to Speed. It's going to Apocalypse Now. I'm like, you are freaking nuts, man. Like, I don't know what to do with you. And he's playing this drunk, and it might as well be out of like It's a Wonderful Life. Like he's like this, like just this sloppy 1950s crazy man. But it's the scene that got me is when he first shows up to his first game as an assistant coach, because the deal that Gene Hackman makes with him is you got to clean up, you got to be sober. And he shows up and he's in a suit that's like 2 sizes too big, and he's got his hair slicked back, and he is so uncomfortable and so scared and so vulnerable. And you're just watching this man like, God damn it, Dennis Hopper. Like, you're really good. Like, he just wants to be there, and he just wants to do a good job. And you're just like, it just got me right in the feels, y'all. I was like, yo, this is some real ish right here. And he, so go ahead.
Well, I've never seen this, but Brandon, have you seen it? It seems like you have seen it.
Yes, it's been a while since I've seen it, but yes.
So does this seem pretty Midwest to you?
Yes, it's because you don't have the big city, and you don't have the thrills that are easily accessible of a big city. Hometown pride and school pride and high school sports become everything in many ways.
Yeah, and that's what you get. That's, I think, the circling it back, because I'll ramble on forever, but that's the biggest sense you get from this movie. Is it's about a town having to trust that they can kind of take a step out on faith and see what happens, and try a new way, try a way that's not tradition, because you get the sense that there's nothing going on in this town except for the basketball team's victories. That's what they
sounds very Friday Night Lights-y.
Oh, dude, absolutely. It has that written all over it, very much that. And so you're pinning, so like they have this winning thing, and it's like you get Jimmy on the team, you do zone defense, that's how you win. That's it. That's all we're doing. And Gene Hackman is coming in there, and his whole thing is like he wants to break him down to build him up. So he's completely messing with the system, and the town freaks out about it. But it really, you do have an understanding that like they want to see this victory, because that's all they have. Like it. I mean, not putting it down in a way, but they're living their lives, and the games. Everyone comes to the games. The entire town is invested in the games. And you also, I think the other thing that I love is almost like to a propaganda extent, they film Indiana so beautifully. I mean, there's so many sunset shots. I mean, there's just like really capturing the fields and the greens and the pinks and the oranges. Like, you really just get a sense of this kind of like idyllic land. It's not, again, is it about the Midwest? No, but I think that it really takes a great snapshot of. And Angelo, I think his name is Pizzo, who wrote the script. Correct me if I'm wrong, Twitter or Instagram. He actually is from Indiana. He had a very similar experience to this growing up. So this is very personal to him. And I love it. You could feel that in the movie. So yeah, I mean, not a perfect movie by any means, but surely a movie that loves the Midwest and reflects that. So yeah, whose yours is mine, y'all.
We're way past big speech time. I want to thank you for the last few months. It's been very special for me. Anybody have anything they want to say?
Yeah. Let's win this, and for all the small schools who never had a chance to get here.
Okay.
I want to win for my dad.
Let's win for Coach.
You got us here. Thank you.
Nice. That's a great choice, and was when I was going through thinking about possible choices, it was on my list, which is maybe why it was easier for me to guess it, because I had recently
been thinking about it. Yeah.
All right, now it's your turn, buddy.
All right, give it a go for my first time at this, and Nick or Alex, whoever wants to chime in here on this opening theme song, because it's an important part of the movie. And if you know the movie just from this song, the intro song, then we might be friends for life. If not, we can still be friends.
I love it.
So we open on Black, and this song is the intro to the movie. We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. I started in the wrong key, and now it's too low. Temperature's rising, it isn't surprising, she certainly can. And so that lovely song plays as we see shots of a small Midwestern town in the snow, the town square, cars parked at local stores. After several of those shots, we end up on a little residential street where a man is knocking on a door, snow-covered house, asking for Mr. Gustafson, Mr. John Gustafson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Yep. I knew it. That's a great one. Alex, do you know? Come on.
No, of course I don't.
Are you serious? Bro.
I'm telling you, I'm bad at this.
Alex.
What?
This is a movie, is in the National Film Registry. This is a brilliant film. Oh my God. Oh, it's Fargo, man.
Oh, close.
It's not Fargo?
Not Fargo.
Gustafson.
There might be another John Gustafson in Minnesota. This does, in fact, take place in Minnesota, but it's Wabasha, Minnesota. So I'll keep going just a little bit.
Keep going.
You're
You stumped me.
You're in the right state. So...
There's no use pretending this isn't happening, Mr. Gustafson.
We go up to the second floor of the house, and we see an older gentleman sneaking out of a second floor window onto the roof and sneaking away from the man knocking at his house, goes over to his neighbor. Now he's got it.
Oh, yes, I do believe I do. Is it about some old men who are grumpy?
Yes. A bunch of old guys, yeah.
Yes. Oh, that makes me so happy.
I love it.
It is Grumpy Old Men, starring Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau.
You're still using that beat-up old piece of firewood?
The Green Hornet's caught more fish than you've lied about, Gustafson.
Oh, yeah.
You see her?
Huh?
Drives pretty fast on that snowmobile. Pretty damn fast.
Yeah. Did you hear about Eddie Hicks?
Hypothermia is a bitch.
Oh.
Oh man, it's been a hot minute since I have seen this movie. These movies, they kind of come as a pair.
You also get extra points for singing the theme song.
Thank you. Well, that was Courtney's suggestion. She said you got to sing it because it's such an iconic part of. Every time I hear that song, I think of this movie, and it makes me happy.
Oh my God. So talk to me about your experience with this movie. Like what? Yeah, watching it. What do you love about this? What is this thing?
Come on, Alex, it's Fargo.
Fargo was on Fargo was on my list also, but this is Grumpy Old Man just has like a part of my heart that a lot of other movies don't have. And it's first of all, it's the comedy. It's how fantastic Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau are, and their comedy genius. And I don't know when I first saw this movie. I must have been 14, 15 or 16, because it came out in 94. It's having watched it again last night to review. It's the Midwestern thing. It's I love winter movies, love Christmas movies, and while this isn't about Christmas, it's at Christmas time. And it's a small town, and it's the comedy, and it's kind of raunchy in a way, but like in a very safe way. So I could appreciate it because I was very, kind of very grew up in a very prude household. So looking back, it's like, Courtney said, "You mom let you watch this movie?" But I was a teenager by that point. So, but it's the comedy. I mean, it's how good Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau are, and their friendship and their sarcastic humor and the practical jokes that they play on each other. And no matter how much they dislike each other sometimes because of you find out what happens in the movie, why they had this fight, they still deep down love each other and have an appreciation for each other. They live next door to each other, but they're always playing practical jokes. And then you have Daryl Hannah and Kevin Pollak, Buck Henry are all, in this movie. I don't know. And the music I'm seeing now, it's composed by Alan Silvestri.
Makes sense.
But there are really great music cues that is just really well done.
Well, it was very nice meeting you, John Gustafson. And now that we know one another, don't be a stranger, neighbor. Oh, and John, King's Rook to Queen's Bishop 3.
This makes me happy. And Burgess Meredith, and also Burgess Meredith, which I don't know him much from. I know he's obviously did a lot of work in his career, but
it's amazing too, because these are two guys who have Jack Lemmon has had some of the most famous pairings in the world of cinema. I mean, Tony Curtis and him in Some Like It Hot. And then with Walter Matthau in The Odd Couple.
They've done 6 movies together.
Incredible.
And I love that too,
really?
Because I've worked, my friend Sam Huntington, we've only done 2 movies together, but if I could do every movie with him, I would do that, because we're not Matthau and Lemmon, but we have our own version of like this buddy thing. And I always look forward to the next opportunity to work with him. It reminds me of these, it's always, their comedy duo.
No, it definitely is a movie that brings joy to the heart. It is definitely
and it's very mired in Americana, right? It feels the relationships feel real. Like it's not prudish, it's not anything like that, but like it feels like it appeal. I think this movie in this particular genre, like it'll appeal to like the widest possible audience, right? Like, we're going to think it's funny, but also our parents think it's funny. You can live anywhere and think it's funny because it's relatable and the environment's relatable. I don't know.
And I will say, I haven't seen so many movies I think have tried to in some way enact upon the formula that grumpy old men, I should set down, where you take actors who have had long careers. They're a little, they're in their older years, and you put them in comedy and see what happens. And not too many movies have been able to pull this off in the same way. And I think that is a testament to both Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, just as consummate performers. I think one of the movies that we reviewed. Oh shoot! Well, I can say this because at this point this episode will come out. But one of the movies that we talked about was Glengarry Glen Ross. And Jack Lemmon in that movie you truly see that this is a man who just knows how to act. I mean, he's insane. And you really can't pull off a comedy like this without full commitment and that friendship that you're talking about, which I think is so apparent. And
it works better. I mean, they really have tried to replicate the formula like modern day with Robert De Niro's done a bunch of them. Morgan Freeman, like Jack Nicholson, they keep pairing big actors from, the 70s, 80s, 90s, powerhouses who are just trying to find, light fare and make some money and whatever, and the movies end up good, but they're not, none of them come out the other end iconic.
Yeah.
None of them come out the other end with actual, with a weight.
You got to establish relationship between the actors is so important. And I don't know that you can do a mathematical equation that can replicate that. It's just an energy, and it's also it's obviously it's the script, it's the director, the music, all of these things are important in making a great film. But we watch this movie and he's that guy from start to finish. He's not taking a break. Every scene he's in it. He's played a character like this so many times, but he's not phoning it in, and they're committed to each other's relationship.
Yeah.
Jacob says that Michael and Melanie are going to get back together again.
Well, Jacob doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Melanie is getting a divorce.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of things I want to tell you.
Yeah?
The reason I came down here tonight is I wanted to tell you...
Oh, will you spit it out? I haven't got all night.
Now, don't shout at me.
I'm not shouting.
Plus, my took us to get down here on Christmas Eve to thank you, and all you can do is shout at me.
To thank me?
All right. I take it back. I don't thank you.
Oh. It's impossible. Impossible.
Love it. Grand
Good
choice. Yeah. John, I really like the choices we made. This has been a nice one.
They're all good. They're all different.
And not
makes me miss snow.
Yeah, I do miss snow. Except
I miss the snow.
But see, that's the thing that I'm a little worried about coming out y'all's way is like seasons. I do like seasons, and
well, I don't miss New York City snow, but I miss the countryside snow. I grew up out in Pennsylvania, well outside Philadelphia, so it's not quite Midwest, but it's closer than Manhattan.
Yeah, and you got some snow.
But yeah, coming LA is you get used to it. Everyone says it's a net positive, the weather being consistent and nice all the time, but I don't know.
Here's the thing about California that's wonderful about California is that you can go travel 2 hours and you can be in a different aspect of California. You can get it all: the snow, the beach, the desert. So
I did that. Yeah. I had a friend when he turned 30, what he wanted to do was in a single day, he wanted to skydive, ski, surf, and run a half marathon. This person is insane.
That's insane.
So I offered to drive him. We got up at like 4 a.m. and I drove him out and he ran a half marathon on this hiking trail. And then we went and we did skydiving, and then I drove him to a mountain and he skied, and then we drove to the beach and he went surfing all in one day. It was pretty wild.
don't like that's too many choices. That's
too. I slept in the car for most of it.
Good. Yeah, that's what you should do on your 30. You just sleep, man. No,
yeah.
But I'm excited. I am excited. I will say having being able to just be around, just first of all, water and beaches and
it's amazing. Yeah.
I'll be out there. Let's see you guys. But no, this has been absolutely wonderful. And Brandon, thank you again, just so much for coming on here. Is there anything you want to plug, you want to say, you want to shout out, any last words you have for the listeners in?
Everybody, it's every day may be challenging now. We're still in a quarantine pandemic before the election, and I'm just doing my best to remind myself to take it day by day, and to check a couple of things off my list, because at least for me, I'm not currently working. There are some shows and projects that are starting to slowly get together, but each day kind of blends into the next, and it feels like I'm not making any progress. But I'm just taking it one day at a time, and working to be good to the people that are in my same household, and take it easy.
Yeah.
Don't put pressure on yourself.
All you can do. Well, if you ever want to come back and do this again, just let us know.
Absolutely.
We'd be happy to have you.
It's amazing. Well, guys, listen, as always.
Oh, and vote.
Oh yeah. Vote.
Vote.
That's what I was going to say too. Please vote, guys.
That was the one word I was hoping in the cold open, but I could draw out of you. But
you know what it is though. I will say, because first you got to get I just had to get that out, and then I was going to say vote. It's like vote, yeah. but also vote.
Scream and then vote.
Scream and then vote.
Then scream again.
And scream again. But no, we taking it one day at a time, I think, is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sentiment. And it's one that we should all do, because that's literally all we got, and also because honestly, I think that if there was any way to appreciate any sort of silver linings that we might find in this time, it is from being present in the moment and just appreciating what we got, just being here. And as crazy as that is, as hard as that is, it really is the thing that will help us.
Life is kind of always going up and down and back and forth. And if you're always just trying to get to the up is always going to come down a little bit. It's just a natural progression of the universe, I think. And so you do have to be able to appreciate the ups when it's up, and when it's down, find something to appreciate. But where the wise words? They've been lost into the vacuum of quarantine. But it's me basically just saying you're right. Do your best to appreciate the experience.
That's it.
Of today.
That's all we got. That's all we got, dude. You're the best. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next week or something. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Little justice, little justice, little justice.